Part 53. Prince wants to develop his country and pace for the future generations. After taking over the days at home, Ming Yu became leisurely. In fact, it can't be said to be leisurely. After all, Ming Yu was still worried about the battle situation of the guards. The barbarians have long legs, and it is impossible for them to wait for reinforcements to pass by. However, since they have revealed their traces, I believe that there are guards and people who are besieging and blocking them, and they will not be able to live long. Xie Yishou seems to be doing nothing for the past few days, and sometimes comes around. Ming Yu doesn't understand his actions. Doesn't it mean that Xichong Gate is in an emergency? Why are you still free? But Ming Yu didn't care about him so much. He still had to do his own business. If he couldn't go to other places, he would go to the craftsmanship every day. As for Xie Yishou, he can follow him if he wants. The craftsmen were both afraid and looking forward to Ming Yu's arrival. Because every time Ming Yu comes, there are always strange ideas, which are obviously impossible things, and when they say it in Ming Yu's mouth, it becomes something that can exist for granted. Every time Ming Yu just opened his mouth and said, the rest had to be left to them. They used to follow the rules and they just did what they told them to do. Now they just draw a big cake and put it there, they have to use their imaginations. How can they make something decent? Ming Yu said that this is called R&D, and R&D must have the attitude of R&D, to innovate something that has never been seen before. And it will last forever in the future. The world is famous, they are famous all over the world, they don't have such a high level of enlightenment, they just rely on their craftsmanship to eat. And they never thought of creating something shocking. However, whether they have clairvoyance or glass products, which is not the most magical thing, just letting it out will make people's jaw drop. I heard that the glass mirrors, wine glasses, and vases brought by the caravan to the capital are all things that everyone is madly robbing. Now that the caravan has set off to the western regions again, taking glass products with them, I don't know how much sensation this will cause. The effect of these things is obvious. But when they were developing, they couldn't sleep all night long, and all day long they were thinking about how to make them and how to get closer to success. No one knows how much hair they have turned white, but when they truly succeed, their inner pride and self-satisfaction are incomparable to anything. So, they are really respectful and afraid of Ming Yu. How is it? Do you have any opinions? Ming Yu looked around and asked with a smile. Everyone looked at each other with a bitter look on their faces. And their eyes were all dazed. Huang Lao took 2 steps forward, his face flushed. What the prince said, the villain has checked a lot of ancient books. And finally has a little look. Ming Yu nodded. Huang Lao, sit down and talk about it. Huang Lao was not being polite, he sat down opposite Ming Yu, twisted his gray beard with 2 fingers, and said, my prince, the villain has only found some one-sided records in the book Pu Fang, as early as hundreds of years ago. In the process of alchemy, some alchemists failed in refining. And there were fires soaring into the sky, and the sound of thunder and roaring. After the calm, someone went to check, the house was razed to the ground, there were large pits on the ground. And rubble and gravel were scattered around. I don't know if it's in the same line as what the prince said. A few days ago, the prince ran over and called everyone to a meeting, saying that the clairvoyant would no longer have to produce, and they couldn't breathe a sigh of relief, and then the prince's focus came and asked them to develop a kind of the power is huge. And it can blast rocks. Sure enough, every time the prince appeared in the craftsmanship, he came to give them problems again. What can blow up rocks? If there is such a thing, where would the foolish old man move mountains? Prince, we can still do 180 clairvoyance and this problem is still avoided, right? I believe in you. Hearing Huang Lao's words, Ming Yu was very relieved and nodded. It's hard work, Huang Lao. If you have a good look, it's worth looking forward to. I believe they won't let themselves down. What Ming Yu wanted was explosives that could be used in mining, road construction, and water conservancy. He wants to open the river and repair the canal. With this, he can save a lot of effort. Xie Yishou looked at Ming Yu, was silent and did not speak, but there was a different look in his eyes. At this time, Ming Yu can definitely attract everyone's attention. Everyone has long been used to General Xie, who has often appeared beside the prince recently. Hearing that the guards around the prince have been dispatched, General Xie will guard the prince's safety with him. At this time, everyone who heard the conversation was dumbfounded. What does alchemy have to do with what the prince said? But they still pricked up their ears and listened. My prince, the villain has read a lot of Taoist alchemy sayings. If you use sulfur, realgar, saltpeter, and honey to burn it, there will be a tendency of flames. If the fire is bigger, it is possible to burn down the house. Huang Lao said. There was a pause here, with a look of embarrassment on his face. And he smiled bitterly. It's just that the villain still doesn't understand a little. Ming Yu corrected his expression and nodded to signal Huang Lao to just talk. Huang Lao cleared his throat before saying, My prince, although the flame is big, it is only burning. The effect you want, my prince, is to blow up the rocky road. Which makes the villain a little confused. No matter how big the flame is, it is impossible to explode, and it is even more impossible to shatter the rocks, right? Huang Lao checked many books. Except for the scene recorded in the booklet called Park Fang, which is 7 or 8 points from what Ming Yu said. Except for the similarity, the rest have not had such a situation. So, he wasn't sure if the direction he had found was right. It turned out to be this problem, so Ming Yu laughed. This was originally 2 different problems. First of all, the fire and medicine have to be developed before the next operation can be carried out. The fact that Huang Lao can ask this question shows that he has been very attentive. In the original world, fire and medicine were one of the 4 great inventions. Later, they were gradually applied in the military, and rockets, fireballs, fire tribulus, etc. could all cause a lot of lethality. But here, people don't pay attention to it, it's just a product left by the alchemist's occasional mistakes when refining alchemy, and no one pays attention to it at all. He remembered that fire was also used in later generations, and that medicine was gradually used in military affairs after it was invented for thousands of years. However, we failed to take advantage of this and ended up being used by others as a weapon against us, which is really sad. We have to take this step by step. First of all, we know the formula that happened. Then we will restore the formula and try the power first. When we can develop it stably and fully understand its performance. In the next step, we will continue to discuss the effect of enhancing the power explosion. Ming Yu thought for a while and said to himself, Don't be too hasty. Always give them time and let them take their time. The craftsmanship was quickly operational, and everyone except the peripheral apprentices get busy. Ming Yu can just stare at them and not take detours. He knows the formula and can reveal a little. In fact, it is in the books that Huang Lao found. Even if he doesn't say it, he believes that it will not take long to find the correct formula. The only thing that bothered Ming Yu was that he didn't know the ratio of these 3 formulas, and he regretted not remembering the ratio in his heart. Then again, he didn't know why he came here. If he had known earlier, he would definitely not have made this mistake, not only with fire and medicine formulas, but also steel and cement formulas. Isn't it fragrant? It is an indispensable recipe for construction. Now there is no way, we can only rely on the craftsman to experiment slowly. The time may be a little longer, but with the direction. It will shorten a lot of time. Why did the prince run to our craftsman every day these days? An honest man looked at Ming Yu and Xie Yishou's back as they left, and quietly asked the young man who was working with them. The young man raised his head and glanced at it, and he had long since noticed it. Do your job. The prince comes as soon as he wants, and it doesn't hinder you from doing things. The honest man smiled. I'm not curious. This is the prince. We poor people are not easy to see. The young man nodded. That's true. Wu Qi, you are new, so you don't know. After you have been here for a long time, it will not be surprising to see you often. He said straight. He got up and continued. Your Highness values our craftsmanship very much, and will come to see it from time to time. This time I heard that your Highness has come up with something new again, so I came here every day and suggested that the masters make it. Wu Qi asked curiously, a novelty? Does the prince still do the work of our craftsmen? The young man shook his head amusingly. How is it possible? It would be very good for the prince to condescend to come to the craftsmanship. Why? Will you do it yourself? I heard from the old man in the craftsmanship that it was the prince who proposed the plan, and they followed it. Wu Qi suddenly realized, and nodded again and again. So that's the case. So that's what the clairvoyant thing is called by the prince. Do what you say. No, this clairvoyance is amazing. I heard that you can see places thousands of miles away. If you think about it, I'm afraid it's something that only immortals have. So, our prince will also use such immortal methods. The masters made it, the young man said with great pride. Wu Qi was amazed again and again. Tisk, tisk, admiration, as if he had never seen the world before. It's a pity, if only I could have a glimpse of such a clairvoyant. The young man glanced at him and continued to bend over to work. Come on, don't be a pity. How can such a fairy thing be seen by you and me? Let's work hard. Wu Qi's eyes flashed in a dim light, and when he saw Ming Yu's figure turned around the corner and disappeared, he lowered his eyes and bowed his head to work. What the prince said seems to be very powerful, and maybe it can be used in the army, Xie Yishou said softly. Hearing the words, Ming Yu stumbled under his feet and almost fell, but Xie Yishou was quick and fast, and grabbed him in time. Ming Yu stood firm and touched the forehead that was hit by Xie Yishou's body plate. How does this person grow? Looking lean. Why is his body so hard? The thought flashed by and his attention returned to what Xie Yishou had just said. Ming Yu couldn't help but sigh that General Xie was indeed worthy of being General Xie. He had already thought about the feasibility before he had researched anything. Ming Yu laughed awkwardly. Why did General Xie say this? Xie Yishou looked at the bright peach blossom eyes of the person in front of him, tears streaming down from the pain just now, the wet pure clarity. Does it hurt? Xie Yishou asked Mizui. Ah? Ming Yu was stunned for a while. Xie Yishou was in a happy mood, and pointed at Ming Yu's forehead. It's red. Ming Yu then reacted, understood what Xie Yishou meant, touched the place where he was just hit again, and said carelessly, it's okay, my skin is too sensitive, and it's blue and purple when it's a little bumpy. It looks serious, but it's nothing at all. Xie Yishou bent his lips slightly, and then answered Ming Yu's question just now. The thing that the prince said is called fire, medicine, flammable, and powerful. If used well, it should be able to kill the enemy. This is just his imagination. The specific thing has not been made, and he has no idea what it is. Ming Yu shook his head. His eyebrows were curved, and he smiled maliciously. I don't know exactly how this thing is, but if General Xie really uses it in the future, this prince will be honored. General Xie. You have seen it, craftsman. I worked hard day and night in research and development, and this prince has also worked hard. So, what is hard work is what it should be. Xie Yishou shook his head. The little fox like Ming Yu fell into the eyes of money, right? However, every aspect of him is so rare. As soon as I walked to the door, a fast horse galloped over and came to the two of them. They quickly dismounted and saluted. Your Highness, General. It was a messenger who came to report. Obviously, there was important news to report. Ming Yu deliberately fell behind a few steps and asked Xie Yishou to step forward to ask alone. After all, this is on the street, and there are a lot of people. It would be bad if the news leaked. The messenger muttered a few words in Xie Yishou's ear. Xie Yishou's face gradually became heavy, and when he turned around, Ming Yu had already said, "Is it the news from Xichong Gate?" General Xie is busy with something. Xie Yishou nodded. It was the barbarians outside Xichong Gate who launched a small-scale war last night. The situation is not big. So the minister will rush back to Xichong Gate to take a look. Yeah, Ming Yu was a little worried. Go, the war is important, take care. Ming Yu also has concerns in his heart. He is now most afraid of the war between the two armies. Mainly because Liangzhou has been struggling for years because of the war, and if there is a war, it has to drag down the pace of Liangzhou's development. His next step is to build a horse farm, and also to build a factory outside Liangcheng for assembly line production. Liangzhou still needs to establish its own economic system. The people only rely on the meager income from the land, which is not enough to support a family. If everyone can't support them, how can they get rich? What he can think of now is to build a large workshop, divide the glass products developed by the craftsmen into a few simple steps, and recruit workers to let the people make them. After being split in this way, there is no need for too complicated processes. Even ordinary people can do it, and the output can be greatly improved. People work and earn money in their spare time. But when they have extra money, are they afraid they won't be able to buy anything? There are a wide variety of glass products, and the response is particularly good when they are just launched. Ming Yu wants to sell it to the north and south of the Dayan Country, and also to export to the countries in the western regions. It is impossible to have a large workshop for main production. Even so, it is estimated that the supply will be in short supply. As for the old craftsmen of the craftsmanship, they only need to be responsible for developing new things. When there are more things researched and developed, different workshops can be built. In short, Liangzhou not only has to keep up with business, but also needs to keep up with supporting industries. If you plan early, you can produce benefits earlier. Otherwise, everything will be behind others, and there will be too many things to lose. Because he believed that after the caravan took the lead and waited for the movement caused by several trips to the western regions, merchants with a keen sense of smell would smell the breath and rush to get a piece of the pie. When the merchants gathered the things they produced, it can be sold out immediately. Will he still be short of money? No, some people sent him money, and the days when he lay down and counted the money should not be too good. It's just that the Shishi country is staring at the tiger. This is not easy to do. If the Shishi country does not dare to attack easily, the Dayan army must be armed to improve equipment and improve combat capabilities. It is best to have 1 or 2 major victories against the enemy, and the border areas will be quiet for a few years, right? It's a pity that he is a prince and can't intervene in the army. So let's mention the innovation of weapon research and development. I hope it will be useful. Xie Yishou was still a little worried. Your Highness has too few guards here. Why don't you send some people here? Ming Yu hurriedly stopped him. Don't, state affairs are important. Don't lose the big because of the small. This prince is still safe here. Who is it? Dare to cause trouble in the city, and the guards are all there, there will be no problem. General, you should go early and return early. Xie Yishuo glanced at the dozen or so guards beside Ming Yu. Frowned. As a prince, guard is too little. The worried look on Xie Yishuo's face, Ming Yu saw it in his eyes, and knew that Xie Yishuo was really worried about him, and smiled. It won't take long for the general to solve the problem after thinking about it. Don't worry, wait for the general to bring back the news. Xie Yishuo nodded. Ming Yu's words were not unreasonable. The matter was urgent, he didn't dare to delay any longer, so he turned around and got on the horse neatly and rode away.